Hey Stampin' Friends, welcome back. It's Sandy here from SandyMacIver.com. I am a paper crafter and blogger, and today I'm going to share a quick and easy alcohol ink trick with you. I needed some backgrounds for these cards I'm making for a special post, and I came up with a couple, and I thought, hey, why don't I show you how I do this? So we're going to be playing with some of these. And when you're just learning to play with alcohol inks, they're very different from anything else that you've ever played with. So grab just a couple of colors and see what happens. I'm kind of a blue-green girl, so what I've grabbed is Denim, Stream, and Lettuce. And then I'm also going to do some highlights with Silver and Pearl. And to help it blend, you're also going to need some alcohol blending solution. Now, this is messy. There's no word of a lie. I have a double plastic on my workspace, then I have paper towel, and then I have a craft mat. And I am going to be working with shiny cardstock for today's project. And I like to do have two pieces handy every time I do this, because what's going to happen is I'm going to build the ink up on this one, and then I'm going to smoosh it with this one, and when I'm finished I'm going to have two backgrounds. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of similarities between these two. It's because they started like this, and then when I opened them I got two. Isn't that cool? So it saves you having to try and pick them up off of your work surface. You can also work on a glass work surface. That works really well too. I prefer this, and then when I'm finished I can either use this, or I have got my Icy Pro alcohol, and I do have it in spritzers. It's okay to spritz this stuff. It is not okay to spritz this stuff. You don't want it airborne, okay? So just a heads up on that. But it is alcohol in all of these things, so it's a good idea to be in a well-ventilated area. Okay, so there's your words of warning. Let's get on with it. It's also mucky, mucky, mucky. Make sure you have lots of spare paper towels. And if you're going out for dinner, put some rubber gloves on. All right, this will clean it off your fingers, but it does take a little bit of work. So you need this quite runny, so I'm going to start by adding quite a bit of the alcohol blending solution, and I leave my lids off. This is Denim, and so I'm just randomly adding some ink. This is Stream, so it's a lighter blue, one of my favorites actually. So I usually put more of this than anything else on. I absolutely love this color. And Lettuce goes very nicely with Stream. You know me, blue-green girl. All right, so far it's not looking like much, is it? It's a blobby mess. Then anything that's got the silver, gold, bronze, pearlized, any type of thing like that, there's a little steely in it, so you always need to stir it before you're going to add it. I may have added just a little bit too much there. And I'm going to add a little bit of pearl as well. I may have to come back and add some more color. Alright, so then the final step is I'm going to add a little bit more of this, because alcohol ink dries quite quickly, so some of it has already started to dry. And then I'm going to take my second piece, I'm going to lay it down. Now, you do not want to move the paper, you want to rub it. And you're going to get some coming out, no worries. And then pick it up and pull it apart and see what you get. Now I like to hold these on an angle, and I also put them over top of a piece of paper towel to soak up any of the extra that's coming off the bottom. Otherwise you're going to end up with a big blob at the bottom. Okay, so these are almost dry already. They get quite cool too, which is interesting. You can feel the coolness in the paper in your hands. But aren't they awesome? Look at those. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside because I need to do a bigger one, and I'm going to do it in the same color. I've got this big honking stamp that I'm making a big 5x7 card out of. So I thought, hey, while I got the mess out, let's just get on with this. Okay. I don't think I need to worry about what's on there because we're going to use the same colors. This time I'm using a piece of 5x7, and it's going to be exactly the same. Lots of alcohol. I want it a little bit darker this time, so I'm going to put more denim in. Lots more. just because I have a kind of a certain thing in mind. And you're going to get a little bit of running because my paper's not flat. It's liquid. It's going to do that. We can smoosh it back into where we want it to be. A little bit of green. I'm going to try for not quite so much silver this time, although I do like the waterfall look that it creates. I'll show it again to you in just a sec. Isn't it cool how that runs? Woo! So, when you make the mess, cut up a whole bunch of paper, because once you get going, you won't want to stop. And the other thing I recommend is have a whole table beside you where you can set these down to dry so that you can just move them out of your way, clean your work surface off, and keep on playing. I have a stack about 6 inches tall right now of backgrounds that I have created with this stuff, just because some days it's fun to sit and play. All right, what am I going to get this time? Okay, I'm not getting any ink coming out the bottom. Lots coming out the side. What are we going to get? Whoa! If you get a white spot, you can flip it back over and pick something up, but you're going to get that. And so what I do is I sometimes put mine back together just to see if I can smoosh that around a little bit more and really get it going. Ooh, we've got major waves going on this time. How cool. Now, if you don't like it, or it's just not tickling your fancy too much, just a sec, I've got to bring a piece of paper towel in here. See what I mean about getting a big ridge across the bottom where there was excess? Okay, so I happen to know that I have a big, and I mean huge, stamp that I am going to be playing with. Now you see how this tracked back? You got to be really careful. This is all still active, and you can actually see it working, especially in the pearlized section. And I laid it down on this piece of paper towel and ended up having it go the other way on both of them. So I'm going to hold them up here for a sec. That's kind of cool. You could almost say like you meant to do that. So I have a wave kind of coming back in, which is kind of neat. I think they're almost dry now. I don't see them moving anymore. But isn't that cool? So the other thing too is I like to cut my pieces a little bit bigger than what I'm going to be working with, because sometimes you get this and there's no way around it because you don't know where the ink's going to go. But I'm able to crop this off, and then this white spot here, I'll just make sure that the wing of my moth is going to be covering that. And you'll see how this one's darker than this one because I didn't use as much green in this one, and I put a lot more denim in this one. So that's what I kind of mean by playing around with the colors. And I've kind of started a legend, and what I do is I write down the colors that I use, but I write them down in the order of most to least. So same as you're looking on a cereal package, you want to know what the contents are. The biggest amount of content is the first item, right? So do the same thing with your legend when you're working on it. And then what I do is I take a little square, a 1x1 square, and I tape it onto my legend, and when I get it finished I will post it on my blog for you so you can see what I'm up to. I've lost my first one in my last move. I can't find it yet. But there you go. And so I wanted to show you, you already know the colors of these ones. This one, the colors that I used were terracotta, this one's butterscotch, and this is red pepper, and instead of the silver I use gold, but I still put the pearl in. So you can see that the pearl is still running through the gold in a few spots there, which is really making it quite pretty, and it's hard to take a picture of it. Anyway, have fun with it. This is a super easy way to play with alcohol inks and make really random backgrounds. Wasn't that fun? Now we can take our backgrounds and audition them behind our die to see which one works best, as each one of these is just unique. To use the magnetic platform so it holds my die in place for me, and I'm using extremely flat cutting pads as well. I recommend this. You get maximum results when you're running this through and cutting all those intricate little pieces out. I also like to run it through my Big Shot quite a few times. Using the Big Shot die brush and the mat is a super quick way to release all those little bits that you just die cut. Now it's time to attach the die to the alcohol art piece. I like to use liquid glue as it gives me a few minutes to adjust the position of my art piece before it sets. My glue of choice is the Mono Multi-Purpose, and I'm adding a few drops all over the back of this die cut in as many spots as possible, and it will ensure that it glues flat onto my art piece for me. And it usually sets within a couple of minutes so that you can carry on completing your card. I decided that I wanted to emboss the front of my card, so I'm going to be using the Creative Expressions embossing folder Sublime Swirls. And this guy is huge. It is a 5 5/8 by 7 3/4. And if you have one of the older Big Shots and it came with a multi-purpose platform, you're going to use both tabs. You're going to place your paper inside and then use one of the cutting pads on top and run it through them. If you have one of the newer Big Shots, it probably came with a Big Shot platform, so this sandwich is a bit different. Again, your paper's inside your embossing folder, and then you need a shim. I'm going to use my thin die adapter first, and then I'm going to put my cutting pad on top. Every machine is a little bit different, so you may need to take away a shim, add a couple. I'm attaching the embossed card front with the score tape. It's double-sided tape that's very sticky, heat-resistant, and acid-free. It comes in a variety of widths, and I usually use the 1/4 inch. And on my art piece, I have the Gina K Thermoweb foam tape on the back, and it's going to add a pop of dimension to the front of my card. So here's some of the samples. Here's the first two colors that we did in the video. The third one is a combination of the red pepper, terracotta, and butterscotch, as I showed you. This one is stream denim with a touch of eggplant. This is stream pearl and cranberry. That's where the pink comes from. And that's the same as that one. And then one final one, and this is my favorite, stream lettuce wild plum, which is the purple with a touch of gold. The Hero Arts Fairy Window Die is the perfect overlay for these beautiful alcohol ink backgrounds. All of the items that I've used today are listed underneath the video and also available on my blog. Thanks for stopping in.